And we are live. My name is JP Berg, and this is episode 40 of The Philosopher, the Stoic, and the Teddy Bear. I'm joined with my co-host, Peyman Askari, as usual. And today we will be discussing Iran, Israel, and America. How you doing, brother?
Hanging in there. What about you?
The same, man. It's just surreal. Since this conflict kicked off, it's just you're seeing everything that kind of coalition that was formed is in America. The MAGA movement is it's crumbling to shreds. Everyone's at each other's throats. Everyone's has this certitude that they're right. And at the same time, like, I'm realizing that no one really knows what's going on. Like, the fog of war is thick. It's really hard to see what's going on behind the scenes. And you're just watching everything fall apart.
Yeah, it's disheartening. Can I, as I mentioned, can I bring up Ramandad's comment? I think
certainly
it's off to a bad start, but the Carney government is appealing the Emergencies Act decision. Today was their deadline. These bastards, they waited until the last minute, gave the people hope, and they're going to appeal it.
Well, they already appealed it. I had Bathsheba Vandenberg on with me, and she was saying that's what insults her the most. They lost the case. They appealed it. They lost their appeal. 2 courts in Canada have deemed this illegal, and there's been no accountability, not even an apology. And the Liberals in Parliament, they still get up there and reference the trucker convoy as an illegal action. So it's just adding insult to injury, man. It's crazy. We're really becoming an authoritarian shithole. That's what's fucking happening.
Well, who's that bald child molester pedophile that they... I got to choose my words carefully. Who's that upstanding citizen who's done nothing wrong that they recently promoted to anti-hate? Like the head of anti-hate. He came out and he slammed the truckers. He just called them terrorists, Nazis, extremists. These are the people we're dealing with.
The thing about anti-hate is it looks a lot like hate, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
No, it's cool, bro. It's like if you make out with another dude, but you say no homo first. That's like the anti part of anti-hate.
It's just phenomenal that people don't put this together. That's what I thought of when I first heard of Antifa and seen some of their what they do. It's like, so you guys are fascists? So you guys are like fascists against fascism, essentially? Like, I don't, it's wild. There's a disconnect there for so many people because they interpret it through these two sides. It's that binary way of interpreting everything. It's the left and the right.
It's like calling torture, no pain. It's like it doesn't make it any less hurtful.
Mm-hmm. And what we're going to see in Canada with the implementation of C9 and these speech restrictions is we're going to see this orthodoxy. Essentially, it's going to be weaponized to kind of implement this orthodoxy. Anyone who deviates from it, anyone who says it's not going to be interpreted in an impartial regard to ensure that there's no one's being hurt by all the dangerous speech around. It's going to be weaponized against the people, just like we've seen in the UK. So anyone who deviates from this neoliberal progressive nonsense is going to be considered to be hateful.
Yeah, and everyone is focused on what's going to happen, what's going to come. Everyone is holding their breath, and I'm saying, you don't have to speculate. Just look at what they're doing. My friend is a defense attorney, and he tells me the nonsense in the court system. Like, he called a guy a homeless person, and they're like, objection, that's offensive. They have to do land declarations. They have to declare their pronouns. That's where this is going. This is the gay version of the Islamic Republic of Iran that's rolling out here.
Yeah, it's a secular theocracy. Sounds like a contradiction of terms, but it's not. When you realize that these people hold these beliefs as in the same esteem as people who are religious hold their religious convictions. This anti-white, anti-Christian, pro-abortion, pro climate change. It's everyone knows it. It's referred to as woke. I don't even like using woke anymore. I just think it's kind of puts everything in a box, and it's broader than that. Now you're hearing people say the woke right too. It's just so absurd now, man.
Didn't you hear Netanyahu said it's the woke Reich?
Mm-hmm. That it's also desperate, man. It's it's like I say, I'm not getting hard on either side of this. But I mean, I once the war with Iran came off, I'm watching people behave the same way I watched them with all the other wars that I've seen through my lifetime. There's people that just they seem tragically susceptible to the propaganda. And they get on here, man, with this like conviction. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where they get their certitude from, because I spend a lot of time trying to analyze this, and it's never been more convoluted. You have to you almost have to qualify everything as conjecture, because you simply can't know certain aspects of this right now. But it's like for everyone, it's enough to hate each other. And they're on here just throwing vitriol at each other, and it's not getting us nowhere.
We're tiptoeing around the issue. What we were going to talk about today is Zionism, and I'm not somebody who has much faith in people, and when something looks like it's too good to be true, you kind of question it. So I'm trying to figure out why it is that all of a sudden, in the span of a few weeks, maybe a month or two, this concept, it's no longer, there's a stigma around talking about these Zionists that just want to go around the world and I don't know, blast countries back to the Stone Age. I can't. I refuse to believe that it's simply there's a lot of other people out there like you and me who are anti-war. It feels, as you always put it, synthetic.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. And it's there's so many people that are incentivized. I'm not going to speculate as if they're all coordinated and being paid, but what I will state, and this is a fact, they're coordinating their messaging. Like the people they're attacking in unison with virtually the exact same attacks. They're trying to affect the narrative a lot. You see the same messages going out. It's really wild to see, man. And Trump, like this MAGA civil war has been happening a while. There's, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, kind of the pro-America populists kind of end of it. And then there's the neocon pro-Israel aspect of it. Mark Levine, Ben Shapiro. But Trump came out and picked his side. Like he made that big message, like just basically blowing smoke up everyone's ass about how much of a genius Mark Levin is. And it's just like so insulting. Like the Trump administration was supposed to be a repudiation of neoconservatism. It was supposed to be the opposite of that. That's how it was sold to the American electorate. And I mean, it's not just a betrayal at this point. It's almost like pissing in your face and expecting gratitude for the shower.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just that it's a betrayal. It's frustrating because we're trying to get out of this loop we're in, where everything gets worse. The rich get richer. We're losing our rights, and the only people that seem to win are the neocons. The neocons, the Zionists, they're all the same. And it's extremely frustrating, and I don't understand what Trump is thinking, because Joe Biden, Michael John, co-founder of the Tea Party movement, he said, like, even if you believe that Joe Biden hates his country and he's flooding the country with all these illegal immigrants because he hates it, he goes, he still has the presence of mind to know that he's destroying his party and he's destroying his own political career. Trump must know that he's destroying his political career. Like even he must see that the base is abandoning him.
Yeah, I think so. And there's a lot of narratives coming out that they're keeping him isolated. They're not letting him speak to anyone else. I know. Here's the fact of the matter from my perspective, and again, I'll qualify this as speculative. It's Trump doesn't want to do what he's doing. The president of the United States is not as powerful as we've been led to believe. And there's a deep state apparatus that's well entrenched. And they especially in regards to geopolitics, they make all the decisions. And then the president is like a spokesperson for this. He comes out and sells it to the people, however he has to. And in the end, they don't care because they're not real.
Yeah, you're right. I think we might have underestimated the central banking component, or just the financing. Like if you think of a country like a corporation, if you've ever run a startup, you might be the CEO of that corporation and you might have founders and people putting in sweat equity. But at the end of the day, you need that capital. You need investment funding. And that's what these central bankers do. Now they're printing it out of thin air. but they've created this system where they've captured all these countries. And when they say that the country doesn't have sovereignty, what they mean is that the people, they can't vote their way out of this, that the rules don't matter. All that matters is that money.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people have said it, and we've referenced it before. It's like we're becoming a neo-feudalist society. It's not like capitalism anymore at all. There's extremely rich. The middle class is dwindling. Everything is stacked up against the middle class, and it's just looking bad, man. It really is. And everything Trump, like, this is supposed to be the golden age for America. And I mean, I'm a Canadian, but I supported Trump. And I lost a lot of friends. I alienated myself. I experienced social ostracization as a result of me supporting Trump and the populist MAGA movement. So I can't imagine how Americans feel. This is supposed to be the golden era. They dodged a bullet, right? Everyone's like, oh, thank God we didn't get Kamala Harris in the New World Order. And then here we are. We're in another regime change war for Israel. And you like, the only arguments for America having a reasoning for this is, oh, well, they were going to get their nuclear program going. It's like, well, we were told in July that we decimated that, took it back 20 years. Netanyahu has been saying this in front of Congress for over 30 years. And Iran has been saying, and now, I mean, you could say, well, they lie. They're those bad Iranians. But I mean, they've been saying the opposite. They've been saying, like, we're not looking to refine nuclear weapons. Like, we don't want to do that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy that we're here, man. It's a super black pill and everyone's feeling it.
Remember that interview we did with Matthew Ehret, and he painted a picture where Iran was actually the sober, judicious party. And this goes back to before George Bush Jr. It's going to the Vatican, and they're trying to establish some counterpart to America because they saw Dick Cheney coming in. Another person I've talked to, he gave a presentation as sort of a libertarian, and he said the people in the West, we are the most propagandized people on the planet. So everything that we believe is a lie, and people believe that lie, and I think that's a really dangerous thing. China, for example, like, people believe China is evil incarnate, Iran is evil incarnate, North Korea. I had a South Korean employee, and I asked him, I'm like, oh, you guys must be freaked out about North Korea nuking you. And he's like, no, why do you think that? I'm like, well, aren't you guys afraid? And they're like, no, there's no threat from North Korea.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, again, I'm getting into some heavy territory here, but there's this banking oligarchy, and they have undue influence. Like the City of London, a lot of analysts characterize it as kind of what was left of the British Empire. They reconquered America through the financial system, and that's all the wars we've seen of the 20th century were bankers' wars for bankers' reasons. But I mean, it seems like any country that's able to avoid that is an enemy. And the people in the West, the electorates in the West are fed just a steady stream of propaganda to tell us how insidious and irredeemable these people and their cultures are. Now, knowing that, I still like it. Even I like the concept of liberty. I like the concept of having a say in governance. But I mean, at this point, if you don't realize that the absolute flaws in our governmental structure, like democracy, the democratic aspect of our government is what allowed it to be entirely captured by this oligarchy. I'm not willing to lie to myself anymore about that. I mean, I don't know what the fix is for that, but we need something.
I mean, at this point, I don't even think it's the form of government. America is a constitutional republic. Canada is a democracy. England is a monarchy. I'm sure there's some dictatorships that we could point to. I mean, Saudi Arabia, they're technically under this system. So you have all these different forms of government, but underneath all of this stuff, you have the banking system. And I think we're underestimating that the effect that this banking system has. Like, you have a country that's funded by these independent banks. We call them central banks that print money out of thin air. And then we're surprised that we don't have sovereignty anymore.
Yeah, it's almost kind of super naive to assume that we kind of delegated this right for this independent bank to print money and create wealth into existence and loan it to us at an interest. And then we're naive enough to think that they don't have influence in our politics and our policies. It's the height of naivete. But it's like I said before, man, like we could speculate. Like I love getting into the conspiracy realm and like who's really doing this, who has the power, and there's a network of various interests at the top, very likely. But forget about all that, man. One thing that we're positive of, and this is irrefutable in my estimation, is that the way they enslave us is through the monetary system. If we had sound currency, that would absolutely neuter them, and they're going to do everything to prevent that. That's what I think most of this is about.
Yeah, it seems like a wounded, cornered animal, and they're lashing out, and the way that they're doing it's quite obvious. Like CJPAC, CIJA, APAC, all of these different Israeli aligned organizations, and just for the audience, if they want to know, Israel and the Jewish people, they're completely different. When we say Zionism and Israel, it's just people hiding amongst the Jewish members of the world so that they get shot as human shields in the process. But they're using these lobbying groups to try to bring in censorship. It just seems so desperate. You think somebody would have told these Zionists, this is going to backfire. Like people are fed up with hate speech legislation. Don't do this. It's going to put a target on your back.
It's funny, man. And these are the people that'll say you're woke, right? The ones that are trying to censor you. It's like how to be an anti-Semite. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And that's what I mean. It's never been more obvious. Obviously this is the one topic you're not allowed to discuss. I don't hate anyone. I sincerely don't. Even at an individual level, I don't hold on to hatred and vitriol like that. I do my best not to. And I certainly don't hate a group of people. Like I don't hate with genetically, like that's phenomenal to me, but you're a damn fool if you don't see and you're not willing to acknowledge, or you're lying to yourself, if you're not willing to acknowledge the undue influence that Israel has over Western politics. It's phenomenal.
Barry Neufeld, Kathy Drake, Amy Ham, they are the subject of assaults from the trans community, which is ushering in hate speech legislation. Two gentlemen this year and last year in Canada, they are the subject of Holocaust denial, which is going to bring or has already brought hate speech legislation. And off the top of my head, the Canadian Islamic Congress attacked Maclean's in 2007. That also furthered hate speech. So it's coming from all these communities. And I'm just saying to Christians, your churches got burned and no one's standing up for you. Why are you standing up for these people? Why? Like, stop promoting more censorship because you think it's the right thing to do, and focus on your own community and your own religion.
So it's funny, you and I often talk about the division, how it prevents us, this tribalism prevents us from seeing practical or pragmatic resolution. Now, what's happening with Christianity is phenomenal since this war popped off, and the Religious Freedoms Committee, I can't think of the young lady's name, but she was a Catholic and she was placed on this Religious Freedom Committee with a lot of Zionists, and she was kicked off of it. And she just said the basic interpretation of Christianity or Catholicism, anything, even Protestantism, that's not Baptist or evangelical, anyone who doesn't look into the dispensational aspect of it. Like, we believe that there's a new covenant through Christ, hence the name Christianity. And that is the new covenant. And Israel is the church. Like, I'm Catholic. Israel is the Catholic Church to me. That's doctrine. It's not controversial doctrine. It's standard doctrine. So, I mean, if she was kicked off of the Religious Freedoms Committee for that reason, because she wasn't willing to acquiesce to this Zionist, what we would interpret as a heresy. Now, but what I was getting to in a very convoluted way, I might add, what I was getting to is the division even there now. Like, I've never seen Protestants and Catholics go at each other like this. I stay out of it. I think we're all brothers in Christ in some way. We should look at what we have in common, which is a lot right now. But I've never seen anything like it. I'm seeing Protestants and Catholics go at each other's throats right now over this stuff, and it's not what we need, man. There's division everywhere on the left and right, religiously. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to unite everyone. I guess on the topic of Israel, like to me, sure, it's a nation state. I mean, there's people living there, the people that have Israeli citizenship, but for the purposes of this conversation, it's a money laundering operation for the billionaire class in America. Like they somehow launder it through these Israeli aligned lobbies, and they have sort of like woke insurance. If anybody attacks them, they just call you an anti-Semite. And they're pushing all of these pro-war policies, pro-censorship policies. And I get the sense that Americans and the world, they're just fed up. I just didn't expect, I didn't have enough faith in my own fellow man that they would actually wake up this quickly and this suddenly.
Yeah. It's making me like watching Trump clearly come out. And again, I don't think this is what he wanted, but he's clearly being controlled. Best case scenario. Or the other alternative is he was in on it the whole time. But seeing this happen, it's making me rethink a lot of positions I've had in the past. Like watching the Carney election. Is Carney and Trump just totally really working together? And is Canada merging with America a fucking terrible thing? Is this the Club of Rome coming into fruition? Like everyone said that I blew off when I wanted to believe that narrative. You have to be very cognizant, even hyper aware of your own proclivity or propensity for fucking falling into these narratives. Like what you want. Like don't try to like do your best to be humble and objective and impartial and try to really look at everything that's going on, because it's just nuts right now. I'm even watching this Joe Kent thing today. Joe Kent resigned. He was the head of counterterrorism or something along those lines. But he resigned, and he said, he called it straight out. He said, this administration is going to war for Israel. And then right away, all of the pro-Israel, pro-Zionist people just start attacking him, calling him an anti-Semite. It's like, that's the best defense imaginable. It's like, it's disgusting is what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, they're running out of the usefulness of that tactic. I wanted to bring up, I'm looking at Substack. We got one viewer on Substack, Margaret. Good evening, Margaret. Margaret said, evening, gents. The Bush death cult, I agree. Once we get to the question section, we're trying to get everyone over to Substack, so we'll give preferential treatment to Substack. In response to what you were saying, I'm looking at Canada, for example, on my feed. There is like one account that comes out and says CSIS is giving preferential treatment to the Muslims, and I don't know, they're anti-Semitic, and they're doing a breakdown of all the things that they said. Then another account comes out and says, no, that's not true. This many Muslims have been killed this year, and they threw in the Catholic Church, and they're like, the churches have been burned as well. So there's a pro-Jewish bias, and I'm just like, who's paying for these accounts? This seems so synthetic.
Yeah, we're being whipped. We're being whipped into a fever pitch. We have been for a very long time. It's part of the PSYOP. It's like a strategy of tension, or like this slave dialectic, this left versus right thing. Anyone right now telling me, oh, it's the left, like, I don't trust you. You don't see this thing yet. This is not the fucking left. The left and the right is the primary mechanism which they utilize to manipulate our behavior. So we're perpetually in this phase of looking at each other and blaming each other in this big group, as opposed to looking up at the systems that are oppressing us. And they're not oppressing the left or the right. They're oppressing all of us. They're right now in the process of changing fundamental aspects about our law and legal system to where we're not allowed to speak and criticize the regime anymore. Like, come on, people. Like, time to get together here.
There's something I wanted to talk about, not being able to criticize our government, but you mentioned the strategy of tension. Do you mind if I bring up that video that you shared with me?
Certainly, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to bring this guy up and then get you to explain what it is. Here we go.
You may remember in February 1979, there was a big uproar because someone by the name of James Gutman applied for a permit to lead a march of Nazis through downtown Philadelphia. Now, eventually, some enterprising reporters did an investigation. You know what they turned up? James Gutman was none other than Mordecai Levy, who worked with the Anti-Defamation League and later split off that to form the Terrorist Jewish Defense League. This is an operation that was run by the ADL. They wanted to have a Nazi march in Philadelphia. Why? Because how can they raise money to justify their existence if American Jews don't think there's a lot of anti-Semitism? So what better thing to do than to slap swastikas on a couple of people, lead them on a march through town, and then the next day the ADL comes marching in and says, look, there are Nazis on the streets. You need to give us money so we can protect you. And then on top of that, have a tax-exempt status. This was not a one-time operation.
So yeah, essentially it's a psychological operation where you're looking to sway the electorate in a certain way. So you stimulate them with all of this, oh, there's these Nazis marching, and then you create the desire for people to now want hate speech legislation, or a counter to this, more law. It's very similar to a concept called anarcho-tyranny, and that's where a government stops enforcing the law. And in Canada, this is like they're telling Canadians to leave their keys for the carjackers, so they don't, they have an easier way. Make them a sandwich. But the premise is it's like they're going to let crime wreak havoc on our communities until people demand a firm resolution. They want new laws, new sweeping laws to prevent this stuff. It's basically just a manipulative tool to push the electorate in a certain way.
This is more of what I see with this whole these NGOs, and I've been calling out the Rockefellers a lot. And it's just symbolic. You could take any billionaire, but yes, there's a tax exempt status, and they've created the system in such a way that they exploit that. I mean, you and I, we don't have excess money to put in a nonprofit organization or an NGO for tax exempt status, and they push policies that benefit them. So in this case, yes, it's the Anti-Defamation League, but I'm sure there's people behind that who say, all right, let's set up this faux Nazi march, and then we'll grow the ADL because of reasons.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a dark thought, and it's very speculative on my behalf, but I believe that they're script writers, essentially game masters, Matt Ehret says. But it's like there's people that are pushing these narratives, shaping them, playing us off against one another. Like when I say this right-left slave dialectic is the primary mechanism to manipulate our behavior, I mean that. I started being just hyper aware of this. Like when you think of the left, like everyone's like, oh, well, you can't unite with the left. It's like, okay, well, who are they? You know what I mean? And it conjures up images of blue-haired trans Tifa types, or you know what I mean? It's the same thing on the opposite. When you say the right, you think of like ethno-nationalists with boots on, or organizing, some kind of racialism. But I mean, it's not like most people are very much in the center of this distinction. So what this does is it makes us think in this binary regard. It's like I wrote an article about it saying the title of the article, it can be found on my X account, is the culture war is a psyop. And what I say in the article, it's like, it's very similar to when I'm throwing the ball for my dog. Like my dog can be exhausted, man. And if I decide to throw that ball one more time, he has to run after it. He can't help himself. There's that instinct overwhelms his other faculties. Now, I'm not going to say people will run and fetch a ball, although some might. But what I am saying is I can very easily convince my neighbors to hate their neighbors. You could sit down with a very intelligent, rational individual, and if you can put emphasis on that tribalism, like they're the other, then they start just seeing them through this outgroup bias. They're not a neighbor, they're not a fellow human, they are the other now. And then you can rationalize, you could dehumanize them, and once you do that, you can rationalize atrocities. And that's the story of history. It's how we do it.
It's how we do it. It's how we do. Let me ask you a question, man. Are you familiar with this Muslim religious cleric that came from Iran? The guy that looks like he has a toilet seat on his head. He came in through Toronto Pearson Airport.
I skimmed an article about him. I do now. It's ringing a bell now.
So So he flies through Toronto Pearson Airport. He lands here, and apparently he went to a pro-Palestinian protest. And I'm thinking, like, why would you do this? It doesn't make any sense. I really think they hired an actor to do this to piss people off. If you're safer in Iran as a Shia cleric than in Toronto with a couple 100,000 Iranian liberals.
Yeah. And that's how it is, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was an actor. This is how it works. It's funny when you think of like the spy world or espionage, it conjures up images of like sexy spies like James Bond ordering like martinis and shit. But really it's like they're journalists. They're journalists and they're activists. Like these are the majority of CIA or intelligence agents. And that's how they affect people is they write stories. They foment this tension, they foment this division, and they play us all off against one another.
And if you look at what's going on in Canada, so you got, I already mentioned all the people that are victims of hate speech. You got the land appropriation in Vancouver and Comox, Cowichan, that's in Richmond, Haida Gwaii, it's a part of the Vancouver Island Peninsula area. Now they're appealing the Mosley decision. You have every time they put out one of these like shit press conferences, they always put a minority. So whether it's that Gary the communist hamster guy, or yesterday they had one where they had a brown woman, Canadian born but clearly East Indian, and the chief of police or whatever, he was this colored brown guy. Everyone in the background except for one person was brown, and the guy asking the question was brown. And I'm like, they're doing this on purpose. The Liberal Party is doing this on purpose to piss off white people.
And here's the other thing they do is they set up white groups. so like they're already there to catch them. It's this, and I'm going to go off the track a little bit here. When I look at Tucker Carlson in America, this guy's dad was in the CIA. it was Nick Fuentes kind of ousted him and made a very credible or compelling case that Tucker himself is an intelligence asset. And I'm certain he very likely is, again, conjecture. But I'm watching him like set himself up as someone who's going to run in 2028. And he may say he's not, but he's going to. And then I look at Joe Kent and MTG and all these people that are kind of going behind him. And I just think right away, are they just setting up the next controlled opposition? Because this is how they ensure they control the opposition, is what they do, Peyman, is they set it up in advance. So then like before there's even like a desire to leave this one official, they already have their second one up. And if you know anything about Tucker Carlson, he went hard against Pat Buchanan when they pushed him out of the political establishment for what? For questioning Israel. You could look it up on YouTube right now. Go in and look in Tucker in the 90s when he was like shitting on Pat Buchanan, saying he was an anti-Semite. The same thing that Tucker's doing now. Like, is he just another part of it? Is this just the next phase? And again, it's starting to bore me. It really is, because I don't trust anything. I'm not getting on any sides of this and fucking arguing with people. I'm not going to deviate from my character for these narratives that I'm not certain are even real. I get the impression that I'm watching the WWE. It's kayfabe. It's a scripted play in some regard.
I'm increasingly starting to feel isolated. Like I feel like people like you and me who are looking for objective truth, we're kind of in a minority, and we're alienating other people that might otherwise agree with us. As one example, nationalists. Then the way they view it is we are in an existential war against Zionists, against globalists. So it's Peyman Askari, shut up, sit down, get behind Tucker Carlson. No more of this JP talk about whether he's a CIA agent or not.
Yeah, I get people's frustration. I get the demoralization. I think we're in a latter stage of ideological subversion where we're supposed to be feeling this. And people like you and I who are politically engaged, we're especially supposed to start to be feeling demoralized. In fact, that's what still makes me do this every day. It's like, it's out of spite at this point. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. You know what I mean? Like, I know you want me to be demoralized and defeated. And feel ineffectual, because largely I am. And it's like I always say, man, they don't fear my voice. They don't fear your voice, Peyman. But what they fear is our voice, our collective voice. And they're going to keep us so divided that we cannot find that collective voice.
Yeah, that's what they do. I was speaking with let's call him a whistleblower earlier today, and when you've been raked over the coals by government, you wake up and you see things. And him and I were having a long conversation. He's telling me how he tried to send $40,000 to a consultant in the U.S. and the bank just his money disappeared for a month, and then it showed up, and the bank's like, "Why are you sending this?" And he's like, "Well, it's in the wire information. It's a consultant fee." And the bank said, "No, we're not going to send it." A Canadian bank, it's his money. It's on the Swift banking system. He can't send it to the US. This isn't going to like Sudan. It's going to the US. The guy's got a tax number. And why I'm telling you this is I told him, I said, you can't explain this to people because ordinary Canadians, they want to talk about kids' genitals being cut off, not, tax tyranny or monetary tyranny.
Yeah, it's such a sensational issue, and they speak to our kind of political differences. So that's what makes us, yes, absolutely. That's what makes us prone to divide. And you and I spoke about this on the last few episodes, but it's relevant to bring up again. Like what we seen around 2007, 2006 is you've seen the left and the right in America kind of come together on one really big core issue, and that's the elites. That's like central banking, the whole 1% thing. You had the Tea Party in America, and you had the Occupy Wall Street in on the left. You had Tea Party on the right, Occupy Wall Street on the left. Then all of a sudden, there's this culture war, and it's being fueled on their social media. It's being fueled on the regular news. It's pushing all of this sensational rage bait, this culture war grifting slop that gets us all. I still can't help myself, dude. I'm scrolling through X and I see something just ridiculous from the so-called left, and I'm like, I want to jump on that, but I'm not going to do that anymore. Like and I tell these people when they try to fucking throw me in their left-right paradigm, I just say, look, I don't play your left-right slave bullshit. I'm not going to do that. Like, God bless you. Good luck, my dear.
I get what you're trying to say. Definitely, the great financial crash is one of the inflection points. The problem is these people, whatever you want to call them, right? The word to use today is Zionists. They have no shame and they have no limit. So they're using culture wars right now. It seems to be dying, so they've shifted over to race wars. If race wars doesn't work, they're switching over to land wars. They're stealing your land. There's nothing they will next. I think the end goal is what was that thing from Braveheart? Prima Nocta. They're gonna invoke Prima Nocta.
They come and get to sleep with your wife whenever they want, not because they want to, just because they don't like you. They get off on subjugating you to that extent. But yeah, man, it's on virtually every metric we're being divided. I became hyper aware of this a long time ago, and I started to try to speak to it, but people are too divided to even listen to me. It's easier to dismiss me. I'm that dude standing over here like, hey guys, don't you think we should maybe, consider something else as opposed to just killing each other? And it's religion too. Like I said, I'm Catholic, and now I'm a lapsed Catholic that returned about 4 or 5 years ago now. But I've never seen anything like this. I've heard of the Protestant Catholic divide, especially in Ireland. Like everyone heard of it there. But I've watched a lot of these people debate each other. Like this is a big thing in on X and on different platforms, is like Catholics debating Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, and then like Catholics debating Protestants and various aspects of a Christian Zionist. And it was always relatively respectful. Just kind of like the differences in doctrine and very kind of boring debates, really. But now it's like it's just caught fire. It's caught fire, man. And watching the anti-Catholicism, I'm feeling that same tug as when I see the left shit. I want to jump on this too and start fighting with everyone, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to remain rational and just like, what are you guys doing? Because I'm feeling like there's a carrot being dangled in front of us, and we're just going for the carrot, and we're missing the broader implications of our behavior.
I got a buddy of mine. He's like, old school Canadian. He's pushing 90. He's one of those like old racist men. He hates Muslims, hates gays, and he's a Catholic. And he always tells me, he's like, Peyman, Catholics, worst people on the planet. You can't trust them as far as you can throw them.
There's a lot of good and bad in every group. Catholicism, like when you read, like I'm one of those rare Catholics that actually read Operation Gladio and remained with the church. I know how flawed it is at the leadership level. I know how flawed the papacy especially can be. But I don't know, man. I was born, I'm a cradle Catholic. I was born and raised in that. My mother worked for the diocese. I had a lot of great relationships with priests. And I mean, there's good and bad. There's good and bad in every group.
Just to lighten the mood, do you remember like 10, 15 years ago, there was that Catholic nun that found a fresco of Jesus and she tried to restore it, but she had no artistic and the picture got so messed up they called it Potato Jesus. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. I do remember like all kinds of crazy things though. In Nova Scotia, and everyone from the east coast of Canada will remember this. There was a Tim Hortons and the light was dying, and the image that it was casting in the shadows resembled Jesus. So like everyone was coming from all around to see this stuff, right? Just goes to show I'm firmly convinced that in secular modernity, people hunger for something real, for something beyond the blatant mechanistic goings on of reality. They want something bigger. They want to believe in miracles, even if they're saying the opposite.
JT says Virgin Mary on toast was my favorite.
That was one too. He's dead serious. That really happened.
Nah, I got to do this. I got to bring out this Potato Jesus. While we're doing that, like what do you tell me what you think is going to happen in Canada? Because I already told you they're stealing land. I mean, like they're appealing the Mosley decision. There's floor crossings. It feels like they have no respect for our Westminster system at all.
Well, they don't, and everything they get away with, it further emboldens them to do more. We've never seen this in Canadian political history. The Canadian electorate elected a minority Liberal government, and through backroom dealings, we'll be having a majority. And we all saw it coming, just the way Carney was elected. And Canadians are apathetic. They're still not engaged. Despite everything going on here, they still don't care. So they're going to keep pushing this.
I'm sorry if this offends you as a Christian. I didn't do this. This was a Catholic. She butchered the fresco of Jesus. She tried to restore it. They kicked her out of the Catholic Church.
I couldn't see them kicking her out of the Catholic Church.
Where is it? There's actually there she is. This is the woman, the Spanish page. Yeah, sorry, I just had to share that.
No, dude, I don't get offended like that, Peyman. I keep things in perspective. But yeah, man, it's pretty wild, especially in Canada. And this is what I'm thinking now. Like, what am I even doing? No one's waking up. If anything, they're just being more divided. The government is clearly, they have a majority. They're going to push through their censorship laws. I'm going to have some asshole who probably wasn't even born here at my door asking me about various posts that I made. This is coming. And then it's like, for what? We're being deboosted to death. Like, we're not even getting our voices out there.
That's a reference to that incident, right, in Toronto or wherever out east, that lady that got visit from the police.
Yeah, she's a leftist too. I checked her Instagram account. She's a leftist, very anti-white, but she's very anti-Zionist too. She's an older white lady too, and she was mentioning that I guess she was talking about Mark Carney and saying he's a Zionist. And everyone's like, on my post, it's like, yeah, well, it's like, I don't care, man. I'm pro free speech. Like that's an absolute for me. I don't care if this is a leftist. I don't want to see leftists be arrested. If you're just looking to impose your bullshit on me, then fuck you too. Pardon the vulgarity.
I have a really bad feeling about this. Like they're testing the waters. It almost feels like they're saying to the RCMP, listen, go out there, but don't go full force. We have a couple of bills coming down, and once they pass, then you can go and arrest people en masse. But until then, let's keep it civil. Let's observe the rule of law until we tell you otherwise.
Yeah, they're very, very good at this, and they'll roll it out as gradually as they have to until it's accepted. Because if they did it all at once, you would see more resistance to it. You would see like Nepal. But I was thinking a very pragmatic way to kind of push back against this would be to coordinate a large hate speech session. Like whatever they say is hate speech. Like we coordinate our messages. We get hundreds of thousands of Canadians to go out and say the exact same thing in protest. Just directly against, they can't arrest all of us, and then they can't really justify arresting some of us and not all of us at that point, right?
Famous last words. They can't arrest all of us. Next thing you know, there's like a massive military base in Winnipeg that's sprung up overnight.
I was profoundly aware of the risks that this involved. When I started doing this, I warned my family. I really didn't. I think they thought I was kind of nuts at the time. Like I'm going to start, telling the truth and saying what I think about politics, and I'm going to make an X account in social media, and I'm going to be more spoken on it. And I really think, I'm telling you that because there could be repercussions. Like I could get in a lot of trouble doing this, but I feel it's the right thing to do. And I did a lot of soul searching before I did this. And I have no doubt that someday I'm going to get that knock on the door, right? And it's fine if you're having an effect, but when you think of it in the sense, like I'm taking all this risk, I'm not making any money, very, very little money. And, I'm taking all this risk, and for what? Like everyone hates me because I won't get in their team. I won't get on their side and fight vehemently on one issue and not look at everything else that's relevant. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that dude. And it's like at the end of the day, like what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we just like sacrificing ourselves for what?
This is like the Islamic Revolution. It's like you're fighting the regime when the majority of the people in 79 support that regime. You're fighting to save people that don't realize they need saving. So you're absolutely right. You're like, am I wasting my life here?
Well, it goes back to what you were saying about, I kind of lost myself there. Sorry, go on.
I can share a story. My dad, this is for the Canadians in Iran. He got arrested by the Muslims. They took him to Evin prison, which is a notorious prison now. And then somebody shows up. He's like, all right, what are these guys doing here? There's no more space. Execute them. And they're like, oh, the executioner is not here. My dad's like, what the fuck? They're like, sir, we don't have an executioner. They're like, all right, fine, let him go. So they let him go, and he gets outside. He's like, where's Bob? And they're like, we killed Bob. Get the F out of here. And then he joins some sort of like underground thing for a couple of weeks. But I think my mom said, like, they're going to kill you. Like, it's not worth, this country is not worth saving. So he just got a visa and he got the hell out of Iran.
And that was famously a color revolution. Don, and I mean, Promethean Action Group bring this up a lot. This is the whole basis for them saying that the IRGC is part of City of London. But they reference that a lot. It was like British intelligence and Mossad. There was a lot of moving parts in that. And it's like they did a color revolution in Iran, and now they're just flipping it back. And they could do that. Like they can actually do that. It's kind of wild, man.
Yeah, for the audience, put it in the comment section. Is that a decolor revolution, or is it color revolution squared?
That's good. That should be an episode title.
There we go. Let's see if we have any questions over in Substack. Margaret says, I wonder if these Zionists realize they are the new Nazis. There is no difference between the two groups. From Margaret, from my experience, people don't like being called Nazis, especially when they are Nazis. I was having a conversation with the whistleblower I was talking to today, and we were talking about the BC Mental Health Act, and he got drugged against his will, and he said that the doctors that drugged him, they didn't want to hear his story, and I'm like, they don't care about your story. They look at the legislation. If the legislation says that if they have the approval of one doctor, then they have to drug you, that's what they do. And they jump through, they do mental gymnastics to avoid saying, I was just following orders. So yes, they are, but they'll never admit it.
Yeah, and that's just the reality of things, man. It's a sad reality of people. Like when you look at the Stanford prison experiments, like when you give people the authority and they have that narrative in which they feel justified, they're able to externalize culpability. Like, well, this is my job. You know what I mean? They're not going to scrutinize this. Is this right? They're not going to morally scrutinize it. They're just going to do it. Why? Because, well, it's my job, man. And that it's my job, that's been the rationale or the explanation for some of the worst atrocities committed by humanity. Just following orders, or that's just my job. If your job is being the tip of the spear for an authoritarian regime against your neighbors, you need a new job, sir.
Was it Solzhenitsyn who said, if you want to know the extent of human cruelty, look at how people treat each other in captivity?
Could be
making it up.
Could be Viktor Frankl too. Frankl spent time in Auschwitz and wrote a story, Man's Search for Meaning. If you people haven't read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, read it. It's one of the great books ever written.
Is that any relation to Dr. Frankenstein?
No, different.
Different Frankl?
Yeah.
So yeah, just again, we're giving preferential treatment to Substack. So what do we got? Another one from Margaret. I thought they were pushing a JD Vance Erica Kirk ticket for 2028. Well, I think that ship has sailed because Donald Trump has screwed over Vance. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anyone from this administration is going to have a political future. I think that's being going up in smoke as we're sitting here. I think it's going to be Tucker Carlson. A running mate, God knows, maybe Tulsi Gabbard, someone along that line, maybe even Joe Kent, and they're very good friends. I don't trust any of these people, man. It's like I said, this is the way they ensure they control the opposition: is they create the riff, they facilitate that riff, and then they create the opposition to that riff. And this is just how these people operate. It's disgusting. And people, oh, you're a black pill. Like, it's like, no, dude, I'm just not going to pin all my hopes and dreams on someone from some crooked establishment. I'm just not going to do that. They got to do things to make me realize. I got to see evidence before I go there.
Well, one silver lining is that at least Marco Rubio won't have a shot at being president in 2028. I definitely don't trust that neocon.
No, I don't trust any of them, man. That's the truth.
No, but you're right about Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, I could see her. Of all the people in the administration, RFK Jr., he's been very quiet. I kind of trusted him. It doesn't help that he was a heroin addict. But Tulsi.
Did you see the glyphosate thing? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's either glyphosate or glyphosate. But that chemical that they're spraying on everything. One of the big things RFK was like kind of speaking against. I seen him on Joe Rogan, and he's like trying to and Joe Rogan's being critical of him too. He's like, well, that doesn't make sense. They're trying to make an excuse as to why American farmers are going to continue using that. It's like poisoning us all. It's like, I think that these people are were told. I think they were told in no uncertain terms, like, this is what you guys are going to do. This is how it works. This is how it's always worked. And I mean, like, who are you? What, do you really think we're going to let you change all this? And I think it's to that extent. And I think for the most part, a lot of these people in public service realize this. And if they don't, they're not high up enough. Once you get to that realm, I think you're told that. Jesse Ventura, who's not a very reliable person to cite, Jesse the Body Ventura, when he ran for governor of Minnesota, he said famously, he said, I was sat down with a bunch of like people in their 20s, well-dressed professionals, and they told me a lot of things. They said, you know, they pretty much told them. And I don't know if all governors get that spewel, but I wouldn't be surprised, because this is not real. This is politics is the bread and circuses of modernity. In Roman times, they just had to, you know, keep you fed and keep the Colosseum going. And you wouldn't think of what the ruling class was doing. In modernity, it's a little more intricate, but it's the same premise. They have us all fighting with each other in this right-left slave dialectic, like as if it means something, if we actually really had participatory governance.
Well, think about how big the government's gotten. I go back to the Colonel McGregor stat that in the 1900s, government was 2% of GDP, Civil War was 1%, now it's 30%. You can't have something that soaks up 30% of the GDP, of our labor, of our productive capacity. and attempt to control it. You just can't. So I think the state has gotten away from us, and that's what people mean when they say we are no longer sovereign. This is not a sovereign republic in the U.S. where people can choose their own destiny through the vote. It's a cartel. It's a criminal cartel at this point.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like I say, when you look at China or Russia, now China and Russia don't have central banking systems. They have like national banking systems. And you could say, you can critique their governmental style. You could say, oh, well, they're not free. But I'll tell you something, man. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin love their people. Vladimir Putin loves the Russian people. Xi Jinping loves the Chinese people. You can disagree with their tactics, but who in the West, what of our Western leaders love their people? Viktor Orban in Hungary, perhaps you could make that argument. Well, no one else does. Everyone else is just playing this crooked game.
It gets kind of worse. I've heard rumors that they've kind of debunked the Tiananmen Square thing. It wasn't as big of a massacre as people say it was. The Kuwait thing, that lady who came into Congress and said that the Iraqi soldiers were pulling babies out of incubators and stomping them. She was a CIA agent. She's actually in the intro to the redacted video. So the CIA has just been lying to us all along. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. We're the most propagandized people. And if everything that you believe is based on a lie, like, how do you make an informed decision?
And you're seeing this now, the cognitive dissonance en masse. No one's like, I think a lot of people are starting to come to this realization, but they're not willing to accept it. They're holding on to different narratives. I wanted Trump to be the savior. They set him up as the populist savior. He's going to, do all these things. When I heard him speak of tariffs, and I thought like, oh, this is like, the Hamiltonian economic system. Like, he's changing everything. This guy's fucking great. And then it's like, no, regime change war for Israel, no mass deportations, H-1A and H-1B visas. They're bringing in farmers for in America now. Like, this is, it's the opposite. It's the antithesis of everything that he sold himself as. And there's sycophants that are still carrying water for this guy. They're jumping on you if you deviate. Trust the plan, bro. You're a panicking. It's like, no, you're an idiot. I'm happy to be wrong, but I'm going to scrutinize my public servants. That's what you should do. You always scrutinize power.
I'd almost appreciate it more if Donald Trump just went full retard, or in other words, full neocon, and abandoned his entire populist platform. But in November of last year, he released that NSS. And then just recently, National Security Strategy document. And then recently, the Department of War came up with a reindustrialization strategy where they're going to reinvest in onshoring of all sorts of critical key roles. And I'm like, just make up your mind, bro. like if you really want to fuck me over, just do it. All right. Like, don't give me hope in these little initiatives.
That's what I said, bro. I have psyop fatigue. I'm done thinking this is real. I wish they would have the decency at this point to come out and tell us the truth. There is a powerful network of oligarchs that are running politics. This is how it's going to be. You can accept it or you can stand against it, but we will not tolerate dissent. Let us know, man. Let us know. Like, don't just continue the charade. And I agree with you, Peyman. Like, I grew up, man, and I was born in 83. I grew up in Canada my whole life, in the eastern part of Canada, Nova Scotia. And like, I was under the impression that this was the free world. Oh, we're in the free world. I felt terrible for people who weren't in my high trust, society. I felt terrible for them. I thought, oh, it must be terrible to live in a communist country, or it must be terrible to live in an underdeveloped country. It's like, I don't know, man. In the end, what we are a tax or a labor firm. and like, that's just, I don't see it any other way. We're debt-ridden wage slaves.
Well, at least now you answered that question. How terrible is it living in a third world country? Now you know. You live in a third world country.
Yeah, we're close, man.
No. And that's actually one of the things I talked to that whistleblower about. He said, I always, Canadian guy, And he said, I always thought that Canada was like a developed nation. And he goes, it's not. It's a corrupt country.
Yeah, and that's it. The mask has slipped. So this kind of thin veneer of civility, or this thin veneer of democracy, is gone now. And we can see that it's not that. And people like you and I, we can't look away from this. We're blown away at this prospect. Like, oh my God, like this is all fake. Like where's reality? Like, where can we get some stable ground to stand on? But the vast majority, Peyman, they have an opposite reaction to it. They have the reaction of like, you're in your bed and you hear something under your bed and you think it might be a monster, but you're too scared to look. Like, I just don't even want to know. I don't want to know that. And that's the majority of people's reaction to this. And I think that's exactly what the powers that be want and prefer.
So a couple of weeks back when, or a couple of months now, when things were going badly in Ukraine, they promoted somebody to the like internal security position that had a criminal record. The guy was like a murderer. And the reason they did that is because they knew things were going to go south. So they needed somebody who could get his hands dirty. And that's what's happening in Canada right now. Like they recognize that people are going to start rising up. They're like, we need hate speech legislation. We have to make examples of people through the tribunals. We need to go to people's homes and call them out for the social media posts, arrest a couple of people. And I think they're getting ready for that.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm trying to make like friends with as many lawyers as I can. Because I sure as hell can't afford any.
Prosecutors, judges, RCMP, Mark Carney, those are the people.
That's impossible. The judiciary is so stacked, man. And this is why we're seeing all of these globalist things like UNDRIP go through and create more chaos in our system. It's because we don't have a judiciary that's trying to be impartial and has a respect for the law and is endeavoring to interpret it. What we have is radical activists that are enforcing an orthodoxy. That's what we have in Canada. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth.
Yeah, all these people that are telling me like, Peyman, Iran is such a backwards country. I'm like, have you seen our judiciary? Do you see the rulings that are coming out? They're giving up our land. But why are you hyper focused on the Middle East? Who gives a shit about the Middle East?
Look at the depravity in our culture too. Like when people like, we're bringing them freedom. Epstein. Yeah, Epstein, exactly. Yeah, they're eating babies and shit. our ruling class is having vampire orgies. That's what Putin said. The vampire party with pounds of flesh in their bellies. The liberal elites of the West. He literally said that. When I heard that, I thought that must be like bad translation. He's speaking figuratively, and that was a bad translation. But now, after seeing like what was released of the Epstein files, it's like, oh, well, of course. No, he was telling the truth. He also told everyone that the president of the United States is a show for the people. Putin was naive. And when Clinton went over there, Putin really thought that Russia would be invited in the West and they could do commerce together. And a lot of people always said, there's a lot of geopolitical analysts that always say that was a big mistake. We could have made these people a strong ally as opposed to alienating them. But it's the neoconservative ethos, right? They still needed the enemy. China wasn't powerful enough then to kind of take the place of that.
Yeah, it's this whole concept of having one single hegemon. So one superpower. And there's no room for, it's like Highlander. There can be only one.
Well, that's it. And since the Soviet Union fell, we had a unipolar world. Honestly, like a multipolar world with actual sovereign nations that are cooperating with each other for their best interests. Get rid of globalization. Let's have protected markets, but protective markets in the sense that they benefit the people. It's not this massive revenue tariff like Matt Ehret was explaining to us. It's like an infrastructure tariff. It goes back into the country, and it's not to punish people and make them pay more revenue. It's actually to facilitate like equalized trade and commerce with these various nations.
Yes. However, we don't even have any like cultural foundation rooted in, there's no other word I can use than Christianity, where the purpose is the promotion of life. Like there's no meaning to life. Like life is supposed to be about treating people with respect, ensuring people are happy, this whole pursuit of happiness. Now, who was the gentleman we had on, Derek Sloan? He said like our life is just basically about increasing our GDP. And when that's the purpose of life, That's you end up with this ruling elite that's just doesn't give a shit about anybody.
We've like secular modernity has desanctified humanity. We're not sacred. We're not made in the image of God. We're just and therefore we're interpreted mathematically. And that's just where we're at now. We are like just numbers on a spreadsheet. We are a commerce district. We're not a nation of people. And our leaders don't care about us. We're interchangeable units. You can see that. Yeah, 100%.
Let's see what we got in the questions, comments.
Yes, sir.
Grand Chessboard Brzezinski. I'm sure you can speak to that.
I'm not super familiar with that. Sounds interesting, though. I'm going to look it up.
Isn't that KGB guy, Brzezinski? Or is that the guy doing the...
Yuri Bezmenov is the KGB guy.
No, I guess this is the guy that was working with... who was that complete jackass during the Nixon era? Come on, evil incarnate. Guy with the Jewish guy with the thick-rimmed glasses.
Oh, Henry Kissinger. Yeah.
I guess that's
Realpolitik.
Yeah. Ramanda, thank you for the repost. We already mentioned that Carney is appealing that. So
for the
Carly says, shocking, not. Personally, I particularly want to hear about the which Peyman is referring to. So I said in the release that we will speak of that which we shall not speak. I was referring to Zionism.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
go ahead. No, you go.
I was going to say there was one presidential candidate in the 2024 election that specifically pointed out Zionism. It was Dr. Shiva.
Really? I was unaware of that. But yeah, I mean, this is when you look into it, I'm not going to do some big critique of Zionism. There's been a lot of articles about it. Martyr Maid wrote a really good article about the psychological complex of the Zionist, the modern Zionist. But I don't want to say everyone. Like there's when you go to Israel, there's a lot of people in Israel that are absolutely and utterly opposed to what the Netanyahu, the Likud party is doing. They know it's bad and they're very outspoken. Like if there was an election today, I couldn't see him winning. But I mean, elections aren't real, so there's that. But yeah, it's what's concerning everyone now is the influence they have. Like you're a liar. You're lying to yourself if you don't realize that Trump is controlled by this powerful group.
This isn't the first time. This happened in his first year as well. After Doge, it was Iran again. He got pressured into Iran, but he handled it much better. This time, he did not handle it well. I think, or maybe he gambled and he said, "Oh, by the time Monday rolls around and the markets open, this war will be all wrapped up." My CIA director and my chief of staff, five-star general assured me this.
So there was a large group of people in Iran that were opposed to the regime. And in July, when America struck them and they were trying to foment this color revolution, the Islamic regime murdered, like I think it was as many as 30,000 people in Iran. Those were the people that were going to overthrow the government. Like the time to have done that would have been then, if that was your thing, right? Like they made sure they alleviated any threat to their regime at that point. Yeah, it's sad to see, man. It really is, because a lot of people, me myself included, even for Canada, I thought Canada's good. I even said this on this show. I said if I was in like another Commonwealth country like the UK or New Zealand or Australia, I would be really afraid right now. But I don't think that America is going to let Canada go into tyranny. And I don't feel like that anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Trump screwed up. Now he's bogged down in a war in the Middle East, and Mark Carney has more breathing room to enact his globalist, progressive, leftist policy.
I don't even know if there's a difference anymore. So let's look back at Butler, Pennsylvania. Butler, Pennsylvania happened, and then immediately Miriam Adelson donated $150 million. It was between 100 and 200 million to the Trump campaign. And a lot of analysts, like Nick Fuentes being the most well-known, he said it right there. He said, this is fake, guys. We've been duped. Trump is not real. And I believe Fuentes is an intelligent asset too. I think anyone with a big voice is. They're not going to let some independent guy get in there and fuck shit up. But he called it out cold. And he said, when this seemed unfathomable, when this seemed like he was just desperately saying some bullshit, he said that Trump's going to go to war with Iran. And I was just like, dude, that's crazy. That's never going to happen. But he said, don't vote for him. You're voting for the same. And now in retrospect, it seems he was absolutely right. Something happened. I'm a firm believer. There's a lot of people that believe Trump was in on it the whole time. If that was the case, I think this could have been done way smoother. I think that he lost whatever war was happening behind the scenes. Because, I mean, I think they wanted this war with Iran in July. And I think Trump did this strike on their nuclear capabilities in order to avoid this broader conflict. And I don't think it worked. I think then he was pressured again to do this. And I think in the end, he's just like, I'm stuck. That's the impression I get. Now, here's one potentiality. When I'm watching how blatant this is, it's like almost like Trump wants Americans to know that Israel runs the presidency. He wants them to know. Did you see that thing he wrote about Mark Levin? It's like Mark Levin is MAGA. Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and all these pro-Israel neocons, they were never Trumpers. And now
he's writing those posts, though. Like, he might even be in the room. But I just don't think that he's writing these posts. Like, that was beyond absurd.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's just so blatantly in your face now. And I've seen him in different speeches, where I seen him at a speech with a bunch of Jewish and Zionist donors, and he was the Adelsons were there, and he's like, yeah, there's Miriam Adelson, and he was just like, yeah, she's the richest person and the most powerful person in the, like, he's saying these things in a joking regard, but it's like, is he trying to convey a message? Does he want Americans to realize? I mean, I know I'm stretching there, and I don't really think that, but that's just one possibility here. Like, he's trying to kind of double play them or play them in some regard.
Well, I think enough of that. Let's move on. There's probably so many audience comments. Now we'll go to the Supreme Court of Canada. Yeah, you don't get a Supreme Court of Canada job as a judge in Canada unless you've sold your soul. I'm telling you, the guy, Peter McIsaac we talked to, and it's not just the judges, it's the prosecutors. The prosecutors want to become judges, so they sell their soul to the government.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the incentive structure. These people are incentivized to toe the line, to play the game the way they're instructed to. And the reward for that is promotions. It's to further themselves in the corrupt system. It's so profoundly corrupt, and it's so normalized now that Canadians are just, I don't know if they're demoralized, but they're definitely complacent and apathetic. Like I don't see us resisting this in any meaningful way.
I'd just like to add that the people that look for government jobs, they're all losers. And you can cite me on that. You can quote me. They're not like me. They're not like JP. They're not like the people in the audience that have integrity and they can survive on their own. These people, they have to suckle on at the teat of government.
It's like you said too, Peyman. You said like how no one believes in anything anymore. Like, you know what I mean? There's no broader meaning. So it's almost like they can easily rationalize. Like where belief would be in God and kind of in morality, now it's in the government. And they will absolutely do whatever is instructed of them in order to succeed in this system. And they feel justified in doing so. It's not like, how do you sleep at night? They sleep like babies on silk sheets. That's how they sleep.
I should get a government job. Clown World, someone I follow on X said that she was riding via rail to Toronto, and as the train took off, they started a land acknowledgement of the speakers. Look, that is just ridiculous. What? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the fucking stupidest shit imaginable. I had a very bad reaction to that when I first heard it 10 years ago. And clearly this was going to lead to something like what we're seeing with land expropriation. I mean, it's like I frequently say, and I say this facetiously, it's kind of a joke, but these are incongruous concepts. We're either Canada or we're the territorial hunting grounds of whatever First Nation tribe existed here. And if it's not Canada, I want my tax dollars back, because I was taxed immensely under the pretext that this is Canada and that means something. And now I'm being told it's not. That's
You know,
bullshit.
you might have an argument there. Like the First Nations, they take all the land, all of Canada, and you take them to court, and it turns out they have to pay back all the taxes that have been collected. But with the inflation, that's cost more than the value of Canada. So we just expropriate Canada from them, and it comes right back to us.
I personally think the whole thing is just it's a way to foment more division in Canada, and it's a way for the government to get rid of private property. I think they're looking long term to nationalize everything.
Yeah. JT, oh my God, I agree. Don't know the context, but I agree. JT, centralization empowers them. Decentralization is our way out. I agree. JP, what do you say?
Yeah, if there's one word that can save the world, it's decentralization. In every regard, we need to unplug from this system. It's become a behemoth. It's just, and it's like the nature of a large bureaucratic apparatus is to grow. They're incentivized to grow, and that's what's happening. And like, how do we get out of it?
Another word for behemoth is Leviathan.
There you go.
This Leviathan. Sundown 95 says Callie Baller. I think that's the name of the woman that did an interview with Tucker Carlson. She ran for Miss California.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's a Catholic convert. Catholic converts are usually a little more passionate about some of the doctrinal differences, but this is not right because Catholic leadership are not coming out and supporting this young lady. They're not doing it, and she's right. Like, I just want to hear one of them say she's wrong, because she's not wrong. That's what Catholics believe. We don't believe that the modern state of Israel is the Israel of the Bible. That's ludicrous. That's theologically ludicrous.
So if you watch that interview, and now I'm going to probably drag you into jail with me, but she said when she did her Miss California, she goes, I believe that marriage is a union between one man and one woman. She didn't say a man and a woman. She even went after the Muslims. She said one man and one woman only.
God bless her. She's right.
Yeah. God bless her. JT, the demoralization campaign has pushed hard to make Christians afraid to acknowledge their religious beliefs. Sure. The personal sovereignty Christianity teaches is an affront to the post-nationalists. You're a Christian. You answer that.
Yeah, there's a reason why they've strategically been targeting Christians, and especially like traditional Catholics. It's because they know at the end of the day that people that have a true belief in Christ are not going to kneel for them. Christians are known. The reason we have a religion is relative to the martyrs. All 12 disciples of Jesus martyred themselves, and people in the pagan world never seen anything like that. Like, these people were given a chance, like, just denounce this Christ, this false Messiah. And they were like, no, not doing it. And that really made people think like, well, they really believe this. This is, and that's the, like, martyrs are known in Islam, but Christianity has its history with martyrdom too. But yeah, Christianity flies in the face of secular modernity. So that's the big problem. We're not going to accept a lot of these new conceptions for the world because we have doctrinal beliefs. So that's why they're attacking Christianity.
No, it's good. Well put. Gary says that go to Substack if you want to speak. Absolutely. That's our preferred platform. Edmund Heidel, they are liberal Catholics swaying people to take a hard traditional right stance on affairs. I'm not sure what he or she is referring to. Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure what the person means by that, but I want to speak to this. Here's the thing. Left and right are not real, but Catholicism is. To Catholics, at the very least, I believe it's real. But I mean, so this goes beyond that. Like, Catholics, like, I'm very pro-life. And that goes beyond my views of liberty. It's like, no, that's abhorrent. Like, we're killing babies. That's fucking sick. And I mean, at the same time, like, I'm anti-war, which is also a Catholic position because I'm pro-life. But yeah, there's a lot of conflation there. It's number one, you should be Catholic. If you're Catholic, you should be Catholic, and you should go by Catholic doctrinal beliefs. You shouldn't let your political affiliation supersede your religion.
Well put again. This is regarding the break-ins in Toronto. I thought about it. My keys are in my pocket. You will go to jail in Toronto if you don't put your car keys in a place that's easily accessible by thieves. You are guilty.
I would recommend, while it's still legal, people get a big dog. I have a Cane Corso. This guy's 160 pounds. He has the bite force of a lion. And I often think, I joke with my wife, like, could you imagine what you would think if you were a burglar and you got in this apartment and you closed the door behind yourself and you seen this guy? You would just know. You'd have enough time to contemplate how gruesome your death is going to be. Get a big
JP,
dog.
a lot of Muslim cultures don't like dogs. That's not gender. It's not culturally inclusive.
So get two then. Get two black dogs too, because I hear they don't like black dogs.
We're so going to jail once Bill and C9 passes. Edmund, it's all scripted. Yes, sir. JT, othering the anti-vaxxers was pivotal for the post-nationalists. I guess what he's trying to say is that the division it caused in the society.
Yeah, that was the biggest example of a mass formation psychosis. I'll say that now. Theorists are calling it mass formation. Psychosis is determined at an individual basis, but it's a mass formation, and that's one of the best examples of it. Like, you never seen that mob mentality so strong as what we've seen through that. And it's scary, man, because it shows how capable we are of doing this outgroup bias, this us and them way of interpreting everything.
So we got some dog-related comments. Johnny 5AB says Peyman's dog is sleeping. Yeah, Nikki has this tendency to sleep with her legs up against the wall. And David Fishman says 165-pound Leon Berger has a 300 pounds square inch bite force.
And 300 is plenty. That's enough. You don't need to get the Cane Corso or the Canary Passerio or one of those big exotic breeds. Just a big dog, man, especially if you're in a situation where you can't have a firearm in the house, and you're not allowed to use a firearm to protect yourself anyway. They'll probably charge you with murder. But considering the crime, big ass dog, man, is man's best friend for a reason.
Can you imagine if we get to a point in Canada where if a dog barks at an intruder, the RCMP shows up and charges them with like bark crime?
Now, there's a Solzhenitsyn quote. You can always tell a communist society by the fact that they criminalize the political opponent and they let the criminals have all the rights. That's a paraphrasing of it, I should say.
Who was the other guy? Kafka? That seems like Kafka-esque.
Definitely.
Clown World. She agrees with you. She says, I don't trust Tucker Carlson.
No, you'd be a fool to. These people are intelligence assets. Anyone, listen, guys, right now, if you're not being deboosted like Peyman and I, you're not real. You're either a useful idiot, you're furthering an aspect of the narrative that's beneficial to the people in power, or you're working directly for them to misinform people. This is a grand illusion. This is total kayfabe, guys. It's very scary. It really is when you realize it.
I brought this comment up earlier. It's from our friend Crypto Spartacus when he said they fear our collective voice, and they absolutely do, because united we stand and divided we fall.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the premise of this right versus left slave dialectic. They want us to be firm in our ideological camps and looking and blaming each other, while the technocratic control grid is constructed around us. We're actually kind of participating in the construction of it by fighting with one another.
That's true. What's Clown World saying about that Tim's story? Oh, this is funny. JP Goodness, that now would be Indian Jesus. She's talking about Tim Hortons life.
I think Indians got like 3,000 gods.
Indian Jesus. Oh my God. That's the opposite of political correctness. The remanded, they voted in bipartisan to not hear from the public on electoral changes. Zero respect. I think this is did you hear about this? I don't know if you're following.
Yeah, dude. Like all the work and the organizing that the remanded has put into the election integrity case that he had in BC to just be downvoted, to not be able to even speak, to not be able to even present the information and the evidence that he spent and put so much effort into getting. It's like, what does that have? That has a demoralization effect. Now, maybe the remanded doesn't, he's going to keep going and keep fighting. But for a lot of other people, they're like, look at everything he did, and everything he did it the right way. And then what did it do? It did nothing. They just didn't even hear it. So it makes people think, well, why bother? And that's what they want. They want us all to collectively think that same sentiment. They want us to all think, what are we doing? Why bother? And once we do, then that's the end of it. So, I mean, and I wouldn't fault anyone for getting out of this now. I really wouldn't. I hear a lot of people saying, look, I'm just fueling the division. I don't even really know what's going on. Like, I'm not going to throw my life away on this. It's and that's what they want us to feel. So I'm personally very conflicted on this, to be honest with you. But it's not good. It's very, very demoralizing.
I put a question to Remanded once. I said, why don't you go work with one BC and Dallas Brody? And he said he wanted to remain nonpartisan. He did the right thing. He was nonpartisan. And these guys just tossed him aside. These people have no honor. These people in the legislature.
I thought you were going to say because Dallas Brody and one BC are Zionists. I really thought you were going to say that, because they are. Seemingly, they're definitely pushing that narrative.
Yeah, Remanded didn't like the massive forehead on Wyatt Claypool. He's like, no, I'm not working with one BC.
I don't blame him, bro. That guy's got mind control powers.
Clown World. Back in the COVID times, perhaps 2021, a man in Halifax, I believe, had a visit at his home from the RCMP regarding a Facebook post. Wow, you're from over there. What do you think?
Yeah, I live in Halifax. I'm unfamiliar with that case, but I can't know everything, so I don't deny it. I'll look into it. But I mean, now here's the thing, guys. Like, with that said, like, if you're doing a direct threat, that's always been against the law. I can't go on social media and say, hey, let's all go kill somebody. Let's go cause harm or something. Like a proactive call to action has always been like, that's not free speech. That's like you're actually calling for action. That can be illegal. But vagaries and this, like, anything that's ambiguous, oh, well, that could be interpreted as a threat. It's like, no, it should be direct. If it's going to be, if it's going to be illegal, it has to be a direct threat of some kind.
Well, that's always been like that. When you and I were in high school, and you get into a fight with somebody at the bowling alley, doesn't even have to get physical. You might say something, he says something. The police don't show up at your house. If you say, I'm going to come over to your house and I'm going to murder you and your family, then the kid goes and tells the police, then the police will show up.
Yeah, it's like uttering death threats. There's different names for these laws that are on the books that kind of fall outside the rubric of it.
Yeah, but this is different. This is some woman saying Mark Carney is a Zionist.
Exactly. And I don't know the details of this Halifax thing. It could be along the same thing. What they want to accomplish is a chilling effect. They want to scare the shit out of us. They want people like Peyman and I thinking, hey, man, should I keep putting my neck out here? Because we're the biggest threat to them, not you and I. It's like, again, they don't fear you and me. They fear all of us. They fear people starting to listen to us. That's why they fucking deboost us.
No, you're right. But you brought up a good point. We don't know the full details of this woman and the one that got a visit from the RCMP. So we're not endorsing her, but it appears that all she said was that Carney is a Zionist.
And she is a leftist. I seen some posts people were sharing that said she hates white people. When she dies, she wants to be called other. So it's like, that's so sad to me. It's like, that's how much they vilified you. They taught people to hate themselves relative to their skin color, to their immutable characteristic. Like, that's tragic.
There's a lot of crazy people out there. Clown World. Peyman, that prison story in Iran reminds me of Life of Brian. Line up of people in purgatory. Brian says, I'm going to heaven. He gets directions to get there and then says, nah, I was kidding. I'm going to hell. I'm not familiar with Life of Brian. I've heard that, but tell me what it is. Do you know?
It's a Monty Python movie. It's kind of making fun of Christianity and religion, dogma of it all. I believe. I think that's the way. I'm not super familiar with it either, but I do know that much if I'm right.
All right, Clown World, I'll go watch that later on YouTube. JT says, happy St. Patrick's Day. All right, I guess we have a reason to drink tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers, JT. Clown World, Tate Fuentes 2028. That would be an epic debate. Can you imagine Andrew Tate debating who's that gap-toothed lunatic from the
I think
Democrats?
she's insinuating that's the ticket. Tate and Fuentes for president and vice president.
Yeah, but the debating AOC, Tate versus AOC. That would be like a no contest. I think Andrew Tate would win.
Again, I think they're all fake, but yeah, like Nick Fuentes especially, he's rhetorically gifted. And I think he's reading off a teleprompter for the most part, but he has rhetorical skills. And the biggest thing is he's cold-blooded. Like you can't be an agreeable person if you're going to be an efficacious debater. You have to be able to be disagreeable. And a lot of people can't get past that civility, and they suck at it as a result.
Yeah, you're basically describing me. Clown World, Jesse Ventura sort of reminds me of John Fetterman.
I could see why you'd say that. Ventura is fucking, man, that guy took a few too many hits to the head, I think. Like he used to make a lot of sense, and then it started to become less coherent as time went on. So I think it's probably some punch drunk.
Yeah, that guy's crazy. Clown World, Putin loves his people like Adolf Hitler loved his people. I don't know if I want to go there, JP.
I think so, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff with people, for sure. That's not any admiration for Hitler, but I mean, what he did in Germany after the Weimar Republic, from like this moment of hyperinflation, what they did with the Deutsche Bank, what they did with their National Socialism, it was impressive. It really was. They like all the Germans had homes, they owned them. You know, the economy was robust. But again, that's not me advocating for Hitler, for sure.
If Bill C9 passes, like this is admissible as evidence. They will execute you and me.
They wouldn't like. I wouldn't love to be arrested, but if I was, I like just let me defend myself. I at least want to illustrate how absurd this is. So when future generations look back, they'll be like, this dude was politically persecuted 100%.
You know, when the Canadian Islamic Congress brought that case against Maclean's magazine and went before the tribunal, and Maclean's won. And one of the journalists from Maclean's, he's like, I wish we had lost so that we could actually appeal our case to an actual court. He expertly screwed over the tribunals. He's like, this is a kangaroo court. We wanted to go to a real court.
Yeah, these tribunals are one of the more disconcerting aspects of what's happening in Canada. And when they get a big caseload, here's my fear with C9. C9 comes into effect. They don't have the resources to put everyone through the court system. So they have to come up with a novel concept. Oh, we're going to use these tribunals, these human rights tribunals, to kind of get the overflow of all these speech violations, all these thought criminals. And I mean, it's a reality. Like you've seen these tribunals weaponized in many instances. There's a lot of examples that we could cite.
Everyone's worried about Sharia law being implemented in Canada. And I'm like, there's no, I've seen the courts in Iran. There's no difference between a tribunal and a court. They're both kangaroo courts. They're staffed by idiots. In Iran, you have religious clerics. Here you have white liberal women with liberal arts degrees.
Secular clerics, though, these are secular fundamentalists. They believe in their orthodoxy as almost more dogmatically than religious people do.
Yeah. Jerry has a question. Which Uniparty member will be granted the BC Conservatives leadership? Furthermore, can PPC win a seat or am a separatist? Can PPC win a seat? Let's leave it there. What do you think?
I'm not familiar with the intricacies of British Columbia politics, but just knowing what I know and the trends in Canada provincially, like, no, I don't think they're going again. Like, this system is just it's not real, and they control things. Like, you just look at what some of the premiers did, like some of the so-called conservative premiers did the same things that the liberal premiers did. Why? Because they're implementing an agenda. They're not representing their constituents. Like, we got to get that out of our heads. This is not real anymore.
I can answer both those questions. For the BC conservative leadership, I think there's just too many liberals in BC. I'm looking at the leaders; they're all way too liberal for my taste. As for PPC winning a seat, anything's possible. I'll point out that he's actually come out against Zionism. He did that in a post. He's calling out the Conservative Party for taking Israeli lobby money. So you never know. Maybe he'll pick up the youth vote.
Dude, if I just want to see them start pushing, get out there, be active, like get some, and I know, like, I doubt they have a lot of money, but I mean, get some people online that are pushing this more. Like, clearly we're likely coming to an election soon. Like, they should be pushing their message a lot more efficaciously.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing. Doug, I saw you over there in Substack. I have an eye on both the comments. He says it's Zbigniew Brzezinski. That's the swamp creature from the Nixon administration. Zork Kuckberger. I couldn't get my Substack to work, but here I am. My keys are in my pocket. I'm glad your keys are in your pocket. I wish you were over in Substack.
I think the Brzezinski thing was that grand chessboard or something. I remember Brzezinski.
Yeah, the previous comment.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up. Not right now, but
it feels like we're completely unprepared. JP doing a psychological analysis on Donald J. Trump.
I don't mean to. I can't help myself. I do it to my friends. Freaks them out.
That's why I never like dating psychiatrists. They always psychoanalyze me. They're like, this guy is damaged goods. Gary says, thanks, guys. It's important to have these discussions while we are still able to. Yeah. JP.
So with this is a good moment to appeal to everyone. If we have people watching, please share this. Send it to anyone that you think might enjoy this type of content. We're just pretty much entirely deboosted. So the only reach we get is through our fan base. We have some every week. We have weekly viewers, and they send our shit. So it's amazing if you guys can continue to do that.
Another comment from Gary. If they refunded my cigarette tax, I could afford a small gas. I guess he's a big smoker. Edmund. Trudeau was Jesuit educated in Montreal, the same school his father attended as well. That one's for you.
Yeah, the Jesuits come up frequently when you get it. In the Vatican, like when you read Operation Gladio, I believe it was by Paul Williams. I read it through twice now. The Vatican and the Catholic Church was used and subverted just like many other religions for the ruling class, and that's pretty normal. Not that it's okay, like it's disgusting, but yeah, Trudeau, this family, these people were the ruling class of Canada, 100%. Like Trudeau, both of them were kind of groomed for the role they eventually played.
So JT is making fun of me, but I don't know why. He says, fighting in the bowling alley, Peyman? Stay in your lane, bub. When did I steer out of my lane?
I think you said something about an argument in a bowling alley when you were referencing the law.
Oh, yeah, the good old days when we used to get the fist fights around the bowling alley. Simpler times.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's see if there's any questions near the top. No, we don't have Peggy with us today. Yeah, I don't know, Matt. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to end on?
No, I mean, honestly, I would like to appeal to everyone to just be a little humble in their interpretations. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I follow this obsessively. I'm not really sure what's going on right now, so you should probably maybe consider that and not be so vehement and spill so much vitriol online with everyone. try not to hate each other. Like, let's take a moment of pause to reflect on what's really going on before we rip each other to shreds.
Yeah, it's hard to do, even for me. Like, everybody wants to be hyper emotional, especially with social media. It amplifies that.
Everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants to be the smart guy, right? There's so many people on here that are all ego, and they're literally in this weird vacuous endeavor of trying to validate their impression of themselves. They have this inflated impression of themselves as being this wicked smart dude, and they're on here to kind of vindicate themselves in some regard.
Well, you're the host, so I don't know, finish the episode for us.
Yeah, we want to thank you guys for coming out and sharing and interacting, and we will be back Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Eastern. Sorry.
Wait, no, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
No, Cynthia Chung is with us on Thursday.
Okay, that is confirmed.
Yeah,
that's a big guest.
If we can get her, hopefully she will be on at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, decent.
And then Alex Zoltan he hasn't responded.
We'll see. I think he's very much pro-Zionist, so he's probably like, I'm not going anywhere near that show.
Well, I guess if he's watching, he's definitely not going to confirm now.
We'll be very respectful, man. We have decorum here at the Philosopher, the Stoic, and the Teddy Bear. With that said, though, guys, thanks for coming out, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.